You wipe down the bathroom tile on Sunday. By Wednesday, the black comes back along the silicone. Scrub harder next time. You buy the stronger spray, the one that stings, sittest when you breathe it in. 15 days later, it is back again. You have been told this is dirt. Please, you have been told to kill it. It is not dirt, it is a signal. That black line is mold, and mold does not need you to scrub harder. It needs moisture, organic residue, and about 48 hours. Take away any one of those, and it stops. The cleaning aisle sells you 23 bottles for the third condition, killing what already grew. It does not sell you the first two, because prevention does not refill. In Japan, summer humidity holds at 85% for 6 weeks straight. Homes are built from wood, paper, and woven grass. If humidity were something you could outscrub, they would have lost that fight a long time ago. They did not. They built a quiet system around it. It is called Souji, and it just means cleaning. Nothing secret. Nothing ancient. Just the daily practice of a country that could not afford to lose. Please, in the next 45 minutes, I will show you the 5-ingredient pantry that replaces most of what is under your sink. Total cost about $14. Let us begin. The hook ended with a promise. Let me keep it slow now. Nothing here needs to be rushed. Start with what you are actually dealing with, not the marketing version. Real one. The 7 small failures that keep repeating in your house. Toilet bowl ring. You scrub it on Sunday. By Wednesday, a faint brown line has come back at the waterline. Try a bluer bottle. Same result. The truth is that ring is not bacteria. It is mineral. Iron, calcium, magnesium, deposited from the water itself. Each cannot dissolve minerals. It never could. You have been fighting the wrong opponent. Black, grout in the shower. Between the tiles, the color deepens week by week. Rub with a stiff brush. It lightens for a day. Then it returns. That black is mold, and mold does not live on the surface. It lives inside the porous grout, sending threads down where a brush cannot reach. The sour smell in the towels. You wash them. You dry them. You fold them warm. 2 days later, they smell like a wet dog. This is not a laundry failure. It is a bacterial residue that survives the wash cycle, then wakes up when the fibers get damp again. The oven glass. A thin brown film covers the inside window. Resists every spray you own. The oven spray at the store smells like it should work. It does not, because that film is polymerized fat, hardened by heat, and no perfume-heavy foam is going to soften it in 90 seconds. Drain. A sweet rotten smell rises when you run hot water. You pour blue liquid down the pipe. The smell comes back in 3 days. Blue liquid killed nothing. That smell is a biofilm, coating the inside of the pipe, and the rinse of anything past it does not touch a coating. Wardrobe. In humid weeks, you open the door and something smells old. Clean shirts smell old. Cedar blocks do not fix it. Perfumed sachets do not fix it, because the smell is moisture, held inside cotton and wood fiber, and no scent covers moisture. It only masks it. The base of the kitchen faucet. A white crust builds around the metal. You wipe it. It comes back. Same story. Same mistake. First, that crust is calcium and magnesium dried from evaporated water droplets, and a paper towel cannot dissolve stone. These 7 problems. 7 different bottles in your cabinet. Tools, and that is the first thing worth noticing. The reason you have 23 bottles under your sink is not because your house needs 23 chemistries. Meaning, it is because the cleaning aisle sells you the same 5 active ingredients over and over, these in different colors with different labels, at different prices. The 5 real categories are simple: acid for mineral deposits and hard water, base for grease and odor, surfactant for oil that will not mix with water, abrasive for a scrub that will not scratch, and oxidizer for pigment and organic stain. That is it. Everything else in the aisle is a variation on those 5. Look at any bottle you own. Turn it around. Read the ingredient list. You will find one of those 5 diluted to somewhere between 2 and 6%. The other 90 to 98% is water. Then a small pour of fragrance, a drop of dye, a thickener, to make it feel expensive on your hand. Preservative, so it does not spoil on the shelf. You are paying at retail for the bottle, the water, and the smell. The active ingredient inside costs pennies. The company knows this. That is why the marketing focuses so heavily on the promise of freshness. Lemon burst, a mountain breeze, a lavender field. If you started paying attention to the ingredient panel, the whole system would fall apart. Here is the reframe that changes everything. Clean is not a smell. Clean is the absence of a smell. Say it once more, slowly. Clean is the absence of a smell. When your kitchen is truly clean, it does not smell like citrus. It does not smell like linen. It does not smell like a bakery. It smells like nothing. The air is neutral. A neutral kitchen is a clean kitchen. A kitchen that smells of lavender is a kitchen where something has been covered up. This is a hard idea to accept because we have been trained the other way for 40 years. Fragrance is the reward. The fragrance is proof of effort. But the fragrance is also, quite literally, particulate matter now suspended in the air of your home. Some of it is respirable. Some of it settles onto the surfaces you just cleaned. The bottle sold you both a cleaner and a soft new film. There is a different way to think about this, and it does not come from a wellness trend. It comes from a country that had no choice. In Japan, summer humidity holds at 85% for 6 weeks. Traditional homes are built from wood, paper, and woven grass. In that climate, in those materials, mold and moisture would eat a house of Sliffy within a decade, unless someone got very organized. So Japanese households got very organized. They developed a daily practice that is quiet, unglamorous, and startlingly effective. Word is Souji. It just means cleaning. There is no mystical meaning. There is no ancient secret. Grandmothers do Souji. Dairymen do Souji. School children do Souji as part of the school day, taking turns wiping the classroom floor after lunch. It is a common noun for a common activity. If someone tries to sell you Souji as sacred wisdom, they are selling you something Japanese people would find strange. What matters is not the word. What matters is the shape of the practice underneath the word. Souji is a daily return, not a weekend punishment. The premise is that the house does not stay clean because you attack it for 4 hours on Saturday. A house stays clean because you spend 3 minutes on it every night before things build up enough to require an attack. Prevention is the whole system. Reaction is what happens when prevention has failed. And here is where it needs to be separated from a word people confuse it with. Souji is not KonMari. KonMari, the method Marie Kondo describes, is tidying, or katazuke, practice of deciding what to keep and where it belongs. Souji is different. Souji assumes the tidying is done. Souji is what you do to the surfaces and the air, week after week, to keep the house in working order. 2 separate practices, often mixed up in English language content. Worth keeping them apart. The principle inside Souji is simple enough to say in 3 lines. Understand the surface you are cleaning. Apply the right simple chemistry in a small amount. Give it enough time to work. That is the whole discipline. Not force, not fragrance, not 23 bottles. Understanding, chemistry, patience. Which brings us to the pantry. Everything I am about to show you across the next 40 minutes uses 5 ingredients. You almost certainly have 3 of them in your kitchen right now. The other 2 cost a few dollars at any grocery store, Walmart in the United States, Isco in the United Kingdom, Coles in Australia, Oblaws in Canada. No specialty retailer required. The 5 are these. White vinegar, $3 to $4 for a large bottle. It is acetic acid, roughly 5% in water. Acid, mild enough to work on soap scum and hard water film without ruining your hands. Baking soda, $2 for a box. It is sodium bicarbonate. A mild base, a fine abrasive, and a quiet odor absorber, all in 1 powder. Citric acid, $4 for a bag in the canning aisle in the United States and the baking aisle in the United Kingdom and Australia. It is the same acid that gives lemons their bite, but stronger, and in a dry powder form that is easier to dose than lemon juice. Salt, $2, kosher salt in the United States. Sea salt in the United Kingdom and Australia, an abrasive that dissolves as it works, so it does not scratch even soft surfaces, and it draws water out of the air in small enclosed spaces. Dish soap, $3, the kind you already have at the sink. A surfactant, that is the 5th category, and it turns out you already owned it. At ordinary supermarket prices, around $14. It replaces, in my count, 8 to 12 of the bottles currently under your sink, the ones marketed for bathroom, kitchen grease, bed water, glass, a mineral scale, and laundry booster. That is a rough $40 to $70 of shelf you no longer need. Before we go any further, a short safety block. It is short, but it is not optional. Never mix bleach with vinegar or bleach with citric acid. Reaction produces chlorine gas. Never mix bleach with ammonia. That reaction produces chloramine gas. Both are dangerous in a small bathroom. Never store hydrogen peroxide mixed with vinegar in the same bottle. Vinegar and citric acid should not touch natural stone marble, travertine, limestone, or unsealed granite. This, the acid dissolves the stone and leaves a permanent dull mark that cannot be polished out at home. When in doubt, patch test a hidden corner for 24 hours. Open a window whenever you are working with any acid in any strength. Wear gloves if your hands are sensitive. Use, and if you find mold covering more than a square meter of wall, going into drywall, use. That is a job for a professional, not a home pantry. With that said, let us walk the house. We walk through the house one room at a time. Same pattern for every method. The problem, in the specific way it shows up. Chemistry, in plain terms. The steps with the time each one takes. These, and one line about why Japanese households handle it this way. Nothing fancy. No mask. No hazmat labels. If you have the 5 ingredients from the pantry and a few cloths, you have the whole toolkit. We start where mold and moisture do the most damage. The bathroom. First, the brown line in the toilet bowl. Look at the water. Where the surface meets the porcelain, a ring has formed. 3 days it is faint gray. Some days it is orange-brown. It always comes back 3 or 4 days after you scrub. You have tried the blue tablet in the tank. It colored the water and did nothing to the ring. You have tried the specialty bottle with the angled neck. Foamed and disappeared, and the ring stayed. Here is what that ring actually is. It is not bacteria. It is not filth. It is mineral. Calcium, magnesium, and often iron, precipitating out of your water as the surface evaporates at the waterline. Here, every day a thin layer is deposited. Over months, it becomes a visible band. Bleach cannot touch it. Bleach is an oxidizer. It destroys organic material by pulling electrons from it. Minerals are not organic material. There is nothing for bleach to oxidize. That is why every bleach-based product you have poured into the bowl has failed. You were bringing the wrong tool. Citric acid is the right tool. It is a weak acid, but weak in the way a lever is weak. Enough for the job without wrecking anything else. Grabs the calcium and iron ions and pulls them into solution through a process called chelation. Salt adds a fine dissolving abrasive that helps release the softened layer without scratching porcelain. Here is how to do it. Turn off the water valve behind the toilet. Use the small oval knob near the floor. Flush once. The bowl water drops and exposes the ring fully. Sprinkle 2 tablespoons of citric acid powder around the waterline. Flow with a tablespoon of coarse salt. Close the lid and walk away. Wait 20 minutes. Make tea. The chemistry is doing the work. You are not needed for this part. Hands-on time so far is under 2 minutes. Come back. Scrub for 60 seconds with the toilet brush, moving in slow horizontal sisal passes along the waterline. Turn the water valve back on. Flush. The ring should be gone, or very close. If your bowl has years of buildup, one treatment may only lift the top layers. Repeat next week. 2 or 3 rounds will usually clear it entirely. After that, a monthly maintenance treatment keeps it from returning. Warning: never add bleach or a bleach tablet to the bowl on the same day you use citric acid. Combination produces chlorined gas. If you have been using a blue tablet, Remove it and flush several times before starting. Please, Japanese households do not treat the toilet as an occasional battle. Cleaned, briefly, regularly, with a dedicated cloth. Nothing dramatic, nothing scheduled around dread. The idea is simple. A small amount of chemistry applied consistently is easier than a large amount applied in panic. Second, the black line along the silicone. Look at the seam where the tub meets the tile. Or the corner where the tile meets the wall. Somewhere along that soft caulk line, black has appeared. Rub with the stiff brush. It lightens for a day, sometimes two. Clean. Then it returns. That black is mold. Specifically, it is the pigmented growth of species like Cladosporium and Aspergillus, common bathroom colonizers that thrive on the exact conditions a wet silicone seam offers. Here, constant moisture, trapped soap residue as a food source. Warmth. The mold is not sitting on top of the silicone. Its threads are pressed into microscopic irregularities in the caulk. That is why surface scrubbing only removes what you can see and leaves the roots behind. Here is the honest limit of a home pantry. If the mold has been there for a year or more, and it goes below the surface of the caulk, no home method will fully clear it. Permanent fix is to remove the old silicone with a razor blade and re-caulk. That takes an afternoon and a small tube of mold-resistant silicone. It is worth it, but for surface-level mold and for maintenance of a seam that has just started to darken, the pantry works. Make a paste. 3 tablespoons of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of water. Stir until it is the consistency of toothpaste. Add half a teaspoon of dish soap and stir again. The paste should hold its shape when you press it into a spoon. Ventilate the room. Open a window or run the exhaust fan. Wear gloves if your hands are sensitive. Apply the paste along the seam with a small brush or your gloved fingertip. Press it into the line. Cover it fully. Leave it for 30 to 60 minutes. During this time, the paste stays damp against the mold. The baking soda's mild alkalinity, together with the soap, lifts the surface layer of mold and its food residue. It does not destroy the pigment. The paste's real job is loosening what a brush cannot dislodge. Rinse with warm water. Follow with a spray of white vinegar. Wait 5 minutes, then wipe with a clean cloth. Vinegar is mildly antimicrobial on hard, non-porous surfaces. It is not registered as a mold killer, but it does reduce surface regrowth for a while. The seam will look lighter. It will not look new if the mold has been there a while. That is honest. The point is not perfection. The point is stopping the spread. Here, the prevention piece is what matters. After every shower, run the exhaust fan for 30 minutes with the door closed. Wipe the seam dry with a small squeegee or cloth once a week. Japanese households call this brief nightly gesture mizukiri. Literally, cutting the water. A wet seam is a live seam. A dry seam is a dormant one. Take away the moisture and the mold has nowhere to grow. Third, the shower head that locks its shape. Look at the spray next time you turn on the shower. The pattern is uneven. Some holes fire straight, others sputter or aim sideways. Pressure has dropped. You bought a new shower head last year, and it the same thing within 6 months. Good. That is not the shower head's fault. It is scale. Every drop of water your shower produces has minerals dissolved in it. Use. When water evaporates from the metal face of the shower head between uses, those minerals stay behind. Layer by layer, they build up inside and around each nozzle. What you see as a clogged hole is a small deposit of calcium carbonate. Roughly the same substance as a stalactite in a cave, deposited on a much smaller scale over a much shorter time. Citric acid dissolves it easily. This is one of the clearest jobs in the pantry. Please, you can watch it work. Find a plastic bag large enough to fit around your shower head. The freezer bag works for most. Mix 3 tablespoons of citric acid powder with 2 cups of warm water in a jug. Stir until the powder dissolves. Pour the solution into the bag. Tip the bag up and over the shower head so the head is fully submerged in liquid. Secure the bag around the neck with a rubber band or a twist tie. It should hold without you having to. Open the bathroom window or run the exhaust fan. Citric acid solution off-gases very little, but ventilation is a habit worth keeping around any acid. Leave it for 1 to 2 hours. This is elapsed time. 2. You are not needed at all during it. Hands-on time so far is about 5 minutes. Come back. Remove the bag carefully. The liquid inside will now look cloudy and gray. Good. That cloudiness is the dissolved minerals. Rinse the shower head with warm water, wipe with a soft cloth, and turn on the shower for 30 seconds to flush any remaining loose material out of the internal channels. Good. The spray pattern should be even again. The pressure should feel like the head is new. Repeat every 3 to 6 months as maintenance. A caution. If your shower head has a special finish, bronze, matte black, brushed gold, remove the bag after 1 hour rather than 2 and rinse well. Some finishes dull with prolonged acid contact. Chrome and stainless steel are fine. Japanese households handle appliances the same way. Descaling a kettle, a shower head, a bathroom faucet. Small acid. Patience. No drama. There is no separate shower head cleaner in the supermarket aisle over there because everyone knows it is just diluted acid, usually citric, and buying a specialty bottle for it is understood as wasteful. That understanding has a word attached. Mottainai. Roughly, what a waste. It applies to spending money on a fancier versions of something a plain ingredient does better. Fourth, the white crust at the base of the faucet. Look at where the faucet meets the countertop or the sink deck. Around that joint, a hard white ring has formed. It resembles chalk. You wipe it with a cloth. It stays. You scrub with an abrasive sponge. You may scratch the finish, but the ring returns within a week. The ring is limescale. Every time water drips or splashes onto that joint and evaporates, another microscopic layer of calcium carbonate is left behind. Over months, the layers become a visible white crust. Same calcium carbonate as the shower head deposit, different location, same cause. Eager will handle it, and it is gentle enough for the finish on most modern faucets. Good. But test first. Some brushed nickel, brushed gold, and matte finishes are sensitive to prolonged acid contact and can dull. Patch a hidden edge for 10 minutes. and inspect before treating the whole ring. And one hard limit before we start. Ever use vinegar or citric acid on marble, travertine, limestone, or unsealed granite. It dissolves those stones and leaves a permanent dull mark that cannot be polished out at home. If your countertop is natural stone, use only warm water and a drop of dish soap on the metal fixture, and keep the acid strictly on the tap itself with a soaked cloth pressed against it. Tips: fold 2 or 3 paper towels into a strip roughly the length of the faucet base. Soak them in undiluted white vinegar until they are saturated but not dripping. Wrap the wet towel around the base of the faucet, pressing it into contact with the crust. If you like, cover with a small strip of plastic wrap to keep it from drying out. Leave for 30 minutes. Hands-on time is under 2 minutes. Remove the paper towel. Wipe the softened crust with a damp cloth. Most of it will lift on the first pass. If any stubborn spots remain, sprinkle a pinch of baking soda on the cloth and gently rub. The fine grit dislodges the last traces without scratching. Rinse the whole area with clean water and dry with a soft towel. The base should be clean. To prevent the ring from returning, dry the faucet base briefly with a towel after each use. Use 10 seconds a day. Once it becomes a habit, prevents the ring entirely. There is a broader lesson here. The specialty aisle sells a kitchen hard water remover and a bathroom hard water remover as 2 separate bottles with 2 separate scents at 2 separate prices. They are the same problem, mineral scale, with the same solution. Vinegar and citric acid handle every hard water deposit in your house. You do not need a bottle per room. Japanese households treat the sink area, called nagashi, as a daily touch zone. Wipe with a damp cotton cloth after washing dishes each night. Cloth has an aim. Zokin. It is nothing more than a folded cotton rag. Use per year, effectively 0. Result: no crust ever forms. Notice something. 4 bathroom problems. 2 ingredients did most of the work. Citric acid and baking soda, with a supporting role for vinegar, salt, and a drop of dish soap. That is the whole bathroom, essentially. No specialty bottles required. Same pattern in the kitchen. 5th, the brown film on the oven glass. Look through the oven door. That amber-brown haze between you and the interior is not going anywhere. You have wiped it. You have scraped it lightly. You have bought a specialty oven spray that promised to dissolve it in 90 seconds, and it did not. The film is still there, and every time you use the oven, it seems to deepen. That film is polymerized fat. When cooking oil and food grease splatter onto hot glass, the heat drives chemical changes. Fatty acids cross-link with each other, forming long, tangled polymer chains that grip tightly to the glass surface. It is chemically closer to a plastic residue than to a liquid grease. Ordinary detergents cannot soften it because it is no longer liquid grease. It has become a solid film with a different set of properties. This is why the oven spray failed. The spray relies on a strong alkali to break down liquid fat quickly. Polymerized fat resists that unless it is first softened by prolonged contact with moisture. Baking soda handles it given time. Not quickly, not in 90 seconds. but given 6 to 12 hours of damp contact, the film softens enough to wipe off with a cloth. This is the trade the pantry offers over the specialty bottle. Oh, fumes. No gloves mandatory chemistry, but you must give it overnight. Tips. Mix half a cup of baking soda with 3 tablespoons of water into a thick paste. Add a teaspoon of dish soap and stir. It should hold together like a spreadable frosting. Open the oven door and hold it horizontal. Most doors hinge to a flat position. Spread the paste in a thin, even layer across the inside of the glass, using a spatula or your gloved fingers. Cover the whole discolored area. Do not get paste on the metal seals around the door. Close the door softly to keep the paste in contact with the glass. Leave overnight. 12 hours is generous. 6 hours is minimum. Please, in the morning, open a kitchen window before you open the oven. Please, the paste will have absorbed grease vapors overnight, and the door release carries a faint smell. 3. Then open the door. The paste will have dried in some spots. Take a damp cloth and wipe it away. The brown film should come with it. For stubborn corners, a second thin application for another 2 hours will finish the job. Glass will not look factory new if it has years of buildup. It will look dramatically better, and repeat applications every few months keep it that way. Japanese households approach the kitchen, idokoro, as a daily wipe zone, plot, a monthly scrub zone. The oven glass is a rarer job because splatters get caught weekly. Principle is that heat plus grease equals a mess that hardens fast. So the wipe happens while the stove is still slightly warm, before anything cools and sets. Fixed. The metal filter above the stove. Pull the filter out of the range hood. Hold it up to the light. That amber weight, that heaviness in your hand. That is months of aerosolized cooking oil, cooled and settled into the metal mesh. Every time you saute or fry, teeny droplets of oil rise on the steam. Hit the filter, cool, stay. Over time, the mesh gets slower at moving air. Your kitchen feels smokier. Select a thin oil film. Grease responds to 2 things: heat and surfactant. Together they lift it. Separately, neither does much. The specialty degreaser at the store is essentially a strong surfactant sold at 4 times the price of dish soap for the same underlying job. Steps. Fill a sink or a large basin with the hottest water your tap will give you. Add half a cup of baking soda and a generous squirt of dish soap. Stir with a wooden spoon until dissolved. Lay the filter flat in the water. The water should cover it fully. If your basin is small, do 1 filter at a time. Leave for 30 minutes. During this time, the hot water melts the surface layer of grease. The surfactant surrounds and lifts the droplets away from the metal, and the baking soda's mild alkalinity helps release the more stubborn deposits. Hands-on time is about 2 minutes. Return with an old toothbrush or a soft brush. Rub the mesh gently, working in the direction of the mesh lines. The water will turn brown or amber quickly. This is what was clogging the mesh. Rinse under warm running water until the water runs clear and no more suds appear. Shake off excess water and let the filter air dry or pat with a towel. Return it to the hood. Airflow should noticeably improve. Do this monthly if you cook often, every 3 months if you cook occasionally. There is an aha here. That specialty degreaser bottle at the store contains a surfactant. Some builders, water, fragrance, and dye. Dish soap is a surfactant with water. The difference in cleaning power for this job is minimal. The difference in price is substantial. This is not an accusation of any specific brand. It is a general pattern of the aisle. The 5 categories from earlier are the workhorses. Here, everything else is packaging around them. Japanese households built the habit of ventilating the kitchen while cooking. Eating, opening a window, running the fan, precisely to keep grease from settling everywhere in the first place. Third, for this air exchange is kanki. It is not a technique. It is a reflex. 15 minutes of open window during and after cooking reduces filter buildup by a large margin over time. 11th, the sweet rotten smell rising from the kitchen sink. Turn on the hot water. Within a few seconds, a smell rises. Faintly rotten, like fruit that turned yesterday. It is worse in summer. You have poured a blue drain gel down it. The smell came back in 3 days. Here is what is actually in the pipe. A biofilm. A slippery layer of bacteria, particles, soap residue, and grease coats the inside of the drain and the trap. When warm water passes through, the biofilm off-gases and you smell what it releases. A blue liquid that flows past the biofilm at high speed for 2 seconds cannot kill an established coating. It just passes through. And now the myth. You may have read that pouring baking soda down the drain, then chasing it with vinegar, produces a fizzy chemical reaction that cleans the pipes. It does produce a satisfying foam. But the chemistry is disappointing. Baking soda and vinegar neutralize each other on contact. The reaction produces water, carbon dioxide, and sodium acetate, which is a mild salt. None of those clean anything. You just made a fizzy salt water. The foam looks like work. It is not doing any. What actually works on biofilm is heat and physical disruption. This is the honest chemistry. Steps. Boil a full kettle of water. While it heats, pour half a cup of coarse salt directly down the drain. Grains give a small mechanical scrub as they pass over the pipe walls. Pour the boiling water slowly into the drain in one long, steady stream. The heat softens the biofilm, and the falling water shears loose the outer layer. This is the primary cleaning action. Wait 5 minutes. Boil a second kettle. Add 2 tablespoons of baking soda to the empty drain. Then pour the second kettle of boiling water on top. The alkaline hot water carries away remaining grease and neutralizes some of the acidic byproducts of decay that cause the smell. The drain should smell neutral within an hour. Repeat weekly for a month if the buildup is old. After that, a monthly maintenance pour keeps it clear. Third, a word on prevention. The best drain treatment is not to feed the drain. Wipe grease off dishes with a paper towel before rinsing. Do not pour cooking oil down the drain, ever, even in small amounts. Run hot tap water for 15 seconds after washing dishes to flush the pipe. Japanese households treat the drain haisui-ko as a daily maintenance point, cleaning the visible strainer every night. pouring hot water down before bed. Oh, boring, effective. And notice, no fizzy foam. Just heat and habit. Look at the shopping list building up in your head. Vinegar, baking soda, citric acid, coarse salt, fish, soap. Same 5 ingredients handling 7 different problems now, across 2 rooms. You have not opened a single specialty product. The remaining rooms follow the same pattern. Different room, same 5 ingredients, small adjustments. To laundry. 8th, the towel that smells sour before it is even wet. 8th, take a folded towel from the linen shelf. Hold it to your face and breathe in. There is a smell. It is not fresh. It is faintly sour, faintly musty, like a wet dog or an old sponge. Please, you washed this towel 3 days ago with a good detergent. Feel. When you got it out of the dryer, it smelled fine. Something happened between then and now. What happened is a bacterium called Moraxella osloensis. It is a common environmental bacterium that lives in cotton fibers, survives most warm water washes, and when the fiber becomes even slightly damp, produces a specific volatile compound, or methyl 3-hexanoic acid. Our noses register it as that exact sour, musty, wet towel smell. Once the bacteria are established in the fibers, ordinary detergent will not dislodge them because detergent runs off quickly and does not remain in contact with the fiber long enough to disrupt them. The fix is a 2-part change. One deep treatment to break the bacterial hold. Then a small permanent change to how the towels dry. Fill your washing machine or a basin with the hottest water safe for the towels. Cool, usually 60 degrees Celsius or higher for cotton, but check the label. Here, add 2 cups of white vinegar, no detergent yet. Add the towels. Let them soak for 1 hour. The acetic acid in the vinegar disps the bacterial biofilm on the fibers, and the hot water opens the cotton weave so the acid can penetrate. It reduces the bacterial load significantly. It does not sterilize the fabric, and it does not need to. Hands-on time is about 3 minutes. After the soak, drain and refill for a normal hot wash, this time with your usual detergent. But use half the amount. Excess detergent leaves residue that feeds the next generation of bacteria. Do not add fabric softener. Softener coats the fibers and traps moisture. Dry fully in a dryer or hang in direct sunlight and moving air. This is the critical part. The compound in question is only produced when the towel is damp for more than about 5 hours. Here, any drying method that finishes within 5 hours breaks the cycle. Hanging a towel in a dim bathroom to air dry over 8 or 9 hours is exactly the condition Moraxella needs to bloom. From now on, always dry towels fully and quickly, and rotate. A towel used once and left damp on a hook is far worse than a towel used 3 times and dried between uses. Japanese households have a specific word for the smell, being Namagawaki, roughly half-dry smell. It shows up on laundry detergent commercials there because the problem is that common. It is a well-known problem there because of the humid rainy season called Tsu. The standard response is fast drying, a fan blowing on hanging laundry. An early morning wash so the sun can finish it by noon. Oh, mystery. Just an awareness that a wet cotton fiber is a bacterial farm if left damp too long. 18th, the black smudges inside the washer door. Open your front loading washer. Look at the folded rubber gasket around the door. Pull the fold gently outward. In that hidden lip, there is often a black film. Sometimes water is pooled there. Here, sometimes there is a smell. That gasket is where every wash of yours drains partially, cools, and sits. Combines everything mold loves, moisture that never fully evaporates. Warmth, organic residue from soap and fabric fibers. Ooze, and darkness when the door is closed. Within a few months of a new washer sitting closed between washes, mold begins to colonize the rubber. Ooze, once established there, it releases spores into every load, and your clean laundry starts to smell faintly of it. Ooze, the pantry cannot fully kill mold that has grown into rubber. Ooze, but it can keep surface mold in check and prevent new colonies, which for most households is enough. Steps. Weekly, take a soft cloth and dampen it with undiluted white vinegar. Pull the gasket, fold outward gently. Wipe every visible surface, front and back of the fold, all the way around. Here, pay attention to the bottom, where water pools most. This takes about 3 minutes. Once a month, run an empty hot cycle with 2 cups of white vinegar poured directly into the drum. No detergent, no clothes. This flushes the internal water passages and reduces mold in places the cloth cannot reach. Please, never mix bleach into this. If you have been using bleach in your washer, run 2 empty rinse cycles before adding vinegar the following month to be sure no residue remains. Bleach and vinegar together produce chlorine gas, and the enclosed drum concentrates it dangerously. Prevention is where the real work is. After every load, leave the washer door open for at least an hour. Ideally, always, a washer with the door propped open dries. A washer with the door closed grows mold. This single habit prevents more mold than any cleaning product will remove. Japanese households treat the washing machine as a piece of furniture that needs air. The same way an oshier, a traditional storage closet, is kept slightly ventilated when possible. Practice is called kanki again, air exchange. A closed damp space is a mold factory. Tools, an open one is not. The washer is no different. Notice how the theme is shifting. In the bathroom, we removed mineral deposits. In the kitchen, we lifted grease. In the laundry, we are not so much killing bacteria as removing the conditions they need to bloom. Prevention is starting to outweigh reaction. That shift is the whole point of Souji. Keep it in mind as we look at glass. 10th, the mirror that will not stop streaking. Here, you spray the bathroom mirror with a blue glass cleaner from the aisle. Wipe with a paper towel. As the surface dries, a haze appears. In the shape of your wiping motion, you spray again. Same haze. You buy a different bottle. Same result. The blue glass cleaner, Specicles, and the mirror-specific cleaner and the streak-free formula are the same bottle with different labels. Most commercial glass cleaners contain a small amount of surfactant to lift oils, plus a large amount of fragrance and a colorant to make the product look and smell like effort. The surfactant is not fully removed by paper towel drying. It stays on the glass as a thin, invisible film. That film is what streaks. The next time you spray, the new surfactant meets the old film and lifts it into visible streaks. Glass cleaners, in a real sense, sell you the streaks they then solve. The pantry version is a drop of dish soap in a cup of warm water. That is it. One drop. Steps. In a small spray bottle or a cup, combine 1 drop of dish soap with 1 cup of warm water. Stir gently. Do not foam it up. Dampen a microfiber cloth with the solution. Wring, so it is damp, not wet. Wipe the mirror in overlapping strokes to lift dust and any old surfactant film. With a second, dry microfiber cloth, buff the mirror in circular motions. Clear will come up clear. No haze, no streaks. If your mirror has years of old commercial residue, the first pantry cleaning may still show a faint haze. The old films need 1 deep pass to lift. After that it will stay clear with a plain water rinse. Screens, television, laptop, phone. Skip the soap entirely. Use a slightly damp microfiber cloth, plain water, and a second dry microfiber. Screens have oleophobic coatings that can be damaged by any surfactant or acid over time. Japanese households use microfiber and cotton cloths, Zokin, for almost every wipe-down task in the home. Cloth costs a few cents per wash and can be reused for years. A roll of paper towels costs several dollars and is thrown away after each pass. The math is not close. 1 method for glass. That is all it needed. The aisle sold you a problem it was designed to solve. Human shape of marketing worth noticing. On to the last section. Air, dampness, and the small creatures that show up when a house holds moisture. 7th, the morning water on the window frame. In cool weather, look at your bedroom window early in the morning. Along the bottom edge of the glass and along the wooden or aluminum frame, small droplets have gathered. You wipe them and go to work. You wipe them again the next morning. Over months, the frame darkens. The paint begins to bubble. A faint dark line appears where the glass meets the frame. That is condensation, and what it produces is not just a wet frame. It is the beginning of a mold colony. Warm indoor air, holding moisture from your breath, your cooking, your shower, meets the cool inner surface of the glass. The moisture drops out of the air onto the coldest surface it can find. It runs down. It pools at the frame. If it sits for more than a day at a time, mold begins to grow in the joint. Molds, there is no dramatic fix. There is a small daily fix that works completely if you actually do it. Steps. Every morning, before 8 o'clock, take a small cloth. Folded Zokin works well. Wipe the water from the bottom of the window and the frame. This takes about 30 seconds per window. Twice a day, open 2 windows on opposite ends of the house for 5 minutes. Cross ventilation exchanges the moist indoor air for drier outdoor air. This is the single most effective humidity control any home can practice. Cost 0. Effort 5 minutes. Effect often more than a small dehumidifier running all day. One warning. Cross ventilation only works if the outdoor air is drier than the indoor air. In humid summer weather or during rainy seasons, opening windows can bring more moisture in. Check with a small hygrometer. An $8 device that measures relative humidity and pays for itself within a season. Closed. When outdoor humidity exceeds indoor, keep windows closed and let the air conditioning or exhaust fan do the work. Aim for indoor humidity between 40 and 55%. Food above 60% for long stretches guarantees mold somewhere in the house. 30% dries out wood and skin. If mold has already begun in the window frame, wipe with a cloth dampened in white vinegar. Let sit for 10 minutes, then wipe dry. This weekly until the dark line stops returning. Japanese households treat this morning wipe as automatic. It is part of a broader morning routine that includes Kadohaki. The brief sweeping of the area just outside the front door. Exactly. The area is usually already clean. But to reset attention and to keep the boundary between outside and inside from getting blurred. The whole ritual takes under 5 minutes. It sets the day. 12th. The damp smell inside the wardrobe. Open your bedroom wardrobe. Feel. In the mornings after a humid night, there is a smell. Old cotton, faintly mildewed, sometimes with a note of wood. Clean shirts, pick it up. You have tried cedar blocks. Good. You have tried scented sachets. The sachets covered the smell for 2 weeks. Either did almost nothing. The wardrobe is a closed box with cool walls. Tools. Warm, humid air enters when you open the door. Meets the cool interior surfaces, condenses invisibly on the back wall, feels and slowly saturates the clothing hanging near it. Nothing has gone visibly wrong, but the fabric is holding moisture and mold-adjacent smells begin to develop. Salt handles this quietly. Sodium chloride is hygroscopic. It pulls water molecules out of the air and holds them. Tips. Take 2 or 3 shallow ceramic dishes or small open jars. Fill each with a cup of coarse salt. Place them at the back of the wardrobe on the floor, behind the shoe row, or in the corner where clothes do not brush against them. Leave them. Over 1 to 3 months, depending on your climate, the salt will slowly draw in moisture. You will see it darken and clump, and eventually turn into a moist slurry as it saturates. When that happens, dump the salt, dry the dish, and refill with fresh. At the same time, adopt a weekly habit. Open the wardrobe doors fully for 30 minutes on a dry day, ideally while you open a bedroom window. This ventilation, kanki again, does more than any absorber. The absorber handles the residual. The ventilation handles the bulk. Food. For particularly damp climates, add one more measure. Not push furniture flush against exterior walls. Leave a 2-inch gap between the wardrobe and the wall behind it. Air needs to circulate on both sides. There is a more elegant option if you have access to it. Fill a silica gel packet saved from a shoebox or a vitamin bottle or a small bag from a craft store. Fill or a piece of bamboo charcoal from an Asian grocery. These are optional upgrades. The salt version costs almost nothing and works. Japanese storage closets, oshiri, are traditionally kept slightly ventilated for exactly this reason. It is normal to see the doors cracked open on humid days. Modern airtight homes have made this worse, not better. A sealed house holds moisture. An occasionally opened one lets it leave. 13th, the line of ants on the kitchen counter. Here, you wake up. On the counter, an orderly line of small dark ants moves from a corner of the wall to a crumb near the sink. You wipe them with a sponge. Within an hour, they are back on almost the same path. Spray them with a specialty ant spray. Some die. Here, the line reappears the next morning, slightly to the left. Here, the line is not there because ants live on your counter. Line is a chemical trail, laid by scout ants and reinforced by every ant that walks it. Trail is invisible to us, but obvious to them. Killing the ants on the trail does not remove the trail. Every new ant that arrives from the nest reads the chemistry and follows it. You have been playing a game where you can never win, because the map to your kitchen is intact. Vinegar disrupts the pheromone trail. It does not kill ants. But that is not what the situation actually calls for. What it does is erase the map. Steps. Fill a spray bottle halfway with white vinegar and halfway with water. Spray the trail along its full length. Start from where ants are entering the room. Trace along the wall. Cross the counter to wherever they are going. Wipe with a damp cloth. The vinegar smell will fade to your nose within an hour. The ants, the trail is gone. Address the food source. See whatever crumb, spill, ooze, or open container invited them. Remove it. Seal food in glass or hard plastic. Wipe counters at night with the same vinegar water solution. Within 1 to 3 days, the ant activity should stop. If it does not, the entry point is likely a small crack you have not identified. Follow the trail back to find where they are coming through, usually a seam near a window frame or a pipe entry, and fill with a small dab of silicone coarse. Japanese households approach small pests the same way. Remove the invitation. Close the door. Do not escalate. There is no war on the ant. There is only a quiet correction of the conditions that brought it in. That is 13 methods across the whole house. Count what you needed. 5 ingredients from the supermarket. A few cotton cloths. A spray bottle. Fiji. Total investment under $30, including the tools. $14 in ingredients alone. Compared to the 8 to 12 specialty bottles you can now stop replacing, roughly $50 to $80 a year, the pantry pays for itself in the first month. But methods on their own are not a system. A cabinet full of the right ingredients, used once and forgotten, still lets mold return. The next section is the system that keeps everything you just learned working in 5 minutes a day. 3 methods, without a rhythm, are just information. You already know how to clean the toilet ring. You knew roughly before this video. What you may not have had is a rhythm that keeps you from ever needing to do the deep version of it more than twice a year. That is what this last section is for. It is short. It is quiet, and it is the whole difference between a house that fights use and a house that does not. The system has 3 layers. Something small every day. Build something focused every week. Something seasonal, twice or 4 times a year, depending on how much you want to do. That is all. Start with what happens every day. Call it the daily 5. Build 5 small acts, none longer than 3 minutes. together taking under 10 minutes of your day. Most of them are already gestures you make without thinking. What changes is that you do them consistently, in roughly the same order, at roughly the same time. The first one happens after the last shower of the day. Take a small squeegee. Draw it once down the tiled walls, once across the glass door, once along the top of the tub. 20 seconds. The point is not to make the surface shine. The point is to end the day with the water on the way out, instead of pooled and waiting. This is the mizukiri gesture we talked about earlier. Putting the water. You already know this pattern. Take away the moisture. Take away the mold. The second one happens right after you finish cooking dinner. Take a damp cotton cloth. Wipe the stove top while it is still slightly warm. 60 seconds. Grease that has not yet cooled comes off with a light wipe. Grease that has cooled and set requires a paste and 30 minutes. Window-ish, short. Do it before you sit down to eat, not after. Third one happens at the sink. Rinse the sink basin. Dry the faucet base and the counter around it with the same cloth. 30 seconds. This is what keeps the white crust from ever forming. It is such a small motion that you will not notice yourself doing it after a month. But your faucet will notice. So will your countertop. The fourth one is a version of an old Japanese practice called Kadohaki. The morning sweep of the area just outside the front door. It does not need to be traditional. 2 minutes, a broom or a small hand vacuum at the entry, whatever you have. What matters is the intention. You are keeping the boundary between outsides and inside sharp. Dust, the pollen, the small debris that would otherwise walk in on your shoes stays outside. This one has an emotional function too, which we will come back to. The fifth one happens at bedtime. Open 2 windows on opposite ends of the house for 5 minutes. Or, if the weather does not allow it, run the bathroom exhaust fan for 10 with the bathroom door open. This is the daily air exchange. Kanki, it swaps yesterday's air, thick with cooking steam and shower moisture and the water you exhaled all day, for cleaner outdoor air. 5 minutes of open windows does more for indoor humidity than most dehumidifiers do in an hour. That is the daily 5. 90 seconds. 60 seconds. 30 seconds. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Under 10 minutes total, and that 10 minutes replaces almost all of the crisis scale cleaning you were doing on Sundays. Once a week, add a Souji Walk. 20 minutes. Same day each week. Same route each time. That last part matters more than it sounds. Please, when the route is fixed, your attention does not have to negotiate with itself. Please, you walk in. Please, you know what happens. Please, you finish. Please, you sit down. Here is the route that works for most homes. Start in the bathroom. Wipe the mirror with a damp microfiber and a dry one. Wipe the silicone seam of the shower with a cloth dampened in vinegar. Check the toilet ring. If a faint line is beginning, sprinkle a teaspoon of citric acid and leave it while you continue the walk. 5 minutes. Move to the kitchen. Wipe the range hood front panel. Take the sink strainer out, rinse it, and put it back. Wipe the microwave interior if you use one. Pour half a kettle of boiling water down the drain. 5 minutes. Then the laundry area. Pull back the washer gasket. Wipe the fold with vinegar on a cloth. Leave the washer door open when you finish. 2 minutes. Then, a slow lap of the main living space. Wipe glass on any framed pictures. Dust the tops of picture rails. Use. Move a chair aside and vacuum the small patch of floor underneath it. 5 minutes. Finish in the bedroom. Open the wardrobe doors for the last 3 minutes of the walk. Flip the pillowcases if it is that week in your rotation. Open the bedroom window if you have not already. 3 minutes. 20 minutes. When you finish, go back to the bathroom and rinse the toilet ring, which has now had 20 minutes with the citric acid. It is the Souji Walk, once a week, same day, same route. 20 minutes to touch every ecosystem in the house before it drifts. This one habit, if you do nothing else, replaces the 4-hour Sunday marathon most households run and lose. And that is the point that becomes visible around week 3 of doing this. You have not spent 4 hours cleaning in weeks. You do not remember the last time you dreaded a Saturday morning. Cleaning did not stop. It shifted shape. It shrank down into your day and disappeared. The math is unbalanced in your favor now. 5 minutes a day plus 20 minutes a week is 35 minutes a week versus 4 hours on Sunday. That is 3.5 hours returned to you each week. Cleaner, and the house is cleaner than the 4-hour version ever produced. That is the reframe, not less clean, actually more clean in less time. Here, now the seasonal layer. Twice a year is enough. 4 times if you like a stronger rhythm. This is Osouji, literally big cleaning. In Japan, the traditional version is done in the last week of December, before the new year. In practice, most households do a second one before the humid rainy season begins in June. 2 seasons, spring and winter, is the honest minimum. 4 seasons, 1 per solstice or equinox, is the fuller version. Winter Osouji is a kitchen and window focus. Grease has been building through months of indoor cooking and short days. Take the range hood filter out and soak it in hot water with baking soda and dish soap. Give the oven glass the overnight paste treatment. Check every window frame for the beginning of a mold line and treat with vinegar if any is starting. Check the seal on the exterior doors. Spring Osouji is a wardrobe and closet focus. Plop seasonal clothing. Empty each closet fully. Wipe the inside surfaces with a damp cloth. Refresh the salt or silica gel absorbers. Air the folded winter bedding in sun before it goes into storage. Open every window in the house for 20 minutes on a dry day. Humor Osouji is a moisture defense focus. Check every visual seal in the bathroom for the start of dark growth. Descaling the shower head and the kitchen faucet with citric acid. Refresh drain treatments. Verify your hygrometer reading is holding under 60%. If it is not, add ventilation habits or a small dehumidifier. Autumn Osouji is a soft goods focus. Wash and fully dry all towels with vinegar in the first cycle to reset any bacterial buildup before the closed window season begins. Here, vacuum under and behind large furniture. Take mattresses off frames if you can, and let them breathe in an open room for an afternoon. None of these are dramatic. Osouji is not a purge. It is a scheduled audit, twice a year or 4 times. You look at the places you cannot see the other months. Companies audit their books this way. Japanese households audit the house. Here is what changes emotionally, and this is the part that surprises people. Around month 2 of the daily and weekly rhythm, the anxiety drops. You notice it first in small ways. You stop scanning for spots when guests are coming over. You stop apologizing for the state of the kitchen. You stop opening a cabinet and feeling a small guilt at the collection of half-used bottles. The house is no longer a project waiting for a free afternoon. It is a place that is broadly in order, most of the time without heroic effort. The mental load that used to be spent tracking what needed doing dissolves. There is nothing to track. It happens on its own schedule now. And the air itself changes, not perceptibly at first. But after a few weeks, without spraying any fragranced product, the constant low hum of citrus and lavender and mountain breeze fades from the house. What remains is nothing, just air, the neutral, unremarkable air of a house that is clean. This is what we meant at the very beginning. Clean is not a smell. Clean is the absence of a smell. A calm Japanese kitchen does not smell like a candle aisle. It smells like nothing. That is the point. The full pantry chart. The room-by-room protocols. The daily and weekly checklists. And a small mixing safety card are gathered in the guidebook linked below. Free. Print the checklist and put it on the inside of a cabinet door. That is where I keep mine. If this was useful, the next video looks at how Japanese households manage food storage and pantry moisture, which is the other half of a house that does not grow mold. Till then, small gestures, small tools, a quiet house that is Souji,